Here's Yerushalmi Peah Daf Zayin. The thing is that yesterday we did almost all of Daf Zayin Amaral because it was a continuation of the sugya from Tesvav on base. So we're at the last. We finished the parak. We're at the last line of Zayin Amaral, the new Mishnah. In the Vilna, interestingly enough, there is no Daf Yud Amud Aleph because it's full of Tosfos Rid. So we're on Yud Amud base at the top of the Amud. Ve'elam Afsikin Lepeah. And that is, without further ado, the Mishnah. Ve'elam Afsikin Lepeah. These are the things that disrupt pay, meaning they have to give pay on both sides of this interruption. Nachal is a riverbed. People don't plant down there. It's in Arabic. It's a wadi, which means it doesn't necessarily flow with water the entire year, but it does flow from water from time to time. So we say in Shiramaus Kafikim Banegev, like the wadis in the Negev, which fill up sometimes with flash floods, but they're not necessarily always flowing. But they're not a place where you plant either, obviously. Hashulis is is like an irrigation canal. Water flows there, but it's smaller than a nachal. A derech hayachid is 4 amos wide. A road which is 4 amos wide. Derech harabim is a road which is 16 amos wide. Ushvil hayachid. Shvil hayachid is a tiny path. It's small, and there isn't even enough place for like one footstep. You walk almost in single file as you go path. What path? Pass it through it. You have very tiny. It's very narrow. It's called a shvil as opposed to a derech. Ushvil harabim. Presumably, it's a little bit larger, but it also is not a path, not a road, and it's a footpath, as we would say, and it goes to people's vineyards and to people's fields. With all these hakavui mosacham yosek shamim, these shvilim are only mafsik to interrupt. It's not going to the rest of the mission. It's going to the two shvilim. They only interrupt if they're there during the summer and in the winter. If they're only there part of the year, they don't actually interrupt. Vabor, if you have a pit, a cistern, which holds water, that's how we read it normally. But here it seems to be habur, not habor, which means that it is a part of the field which lay fallow, which therefore interrupts. I assume a bore would also interrupt, but here it seems to be bur, and it means that a fallow part of the field interrupts between the two other sides of the field. Vanir, and the near is freshly plowed dirt, freshly plowed field, even though it's not yet it's not planted. So the two sides which are planted, you have to give the separate payoff. V'zera acher, if you have in the middle of two, I don't know, you have two potato fields. In the middle, you have a cucumber field. Cucumber is something there's pay on. If there's in the middle, there's a grain field. So then there's you can't give from one potato field and the other. You have to give from each potato field separately. Kotzer l'shachas. If somebody harvests part of his field for animal fodder, and then they harvested much earlier than you would harvest for human consumption, and it's generally understood to be right after it's a third grown. So now you harvest in the middle for animal fodder, and you left other parts on both sides for human beings. So mapsik, it interrupts the field. I'm going to say no, it's still part of the same growth. The fact that you took off the middle already after it grew the third doesn't mean it's not part of the same growth, and therefore it's not interruption unless you actually plow that area in the middle where you were kotzer l'shachas. Okay, that says the Gemara. Shenemar, in the Kabnoki, it's Tani, Sorcha. But in any event, Shenemar Sorcha. Here it's a Shenemar Sorcha. It says Sorcha. So it says each field has its own pair. They don't take from one field to another field. So the Eno Mechubar. The way it's spelled here, Eno Mechubar, means it's not connected, right? So the Kavanaki is Mechubar, not a Memches Vav Beis Reish, but Memches, not Memches Vav Beis Resh, but Memches Vav Vav Resh. And in other words, it's not Deraisa. We don't have an explicit pasuk to tell us this. But the way we have in front of us, mechubar means the way Mashbiach explains the mechubar means something which is artificial. In other words, it's added on. Ein mechubar is something which is natural. That's intrinsic, I guess, as opposed to extrinsic. The Rash Sibilio's girsa is like the Kavanaki, so I think we will go with the Kavanaki for now. And it says uh, uh, the these have suckles, which are mentioned in Mishnah in Mechuvar, which usually means there's no pasuk for them, but it can mean that there's no clear source for them. In other words, we don't have a definitive source. It's kind of like a shikul das. V'itemer mechuvar hu, and if you're going to say it is mechuvar, meaning that there is a definite, a persistent pattern which we can discern and say this is a definite interruption. So I feel so that ilam mafsik. So then, even if you have a field in the middle, should be even these things rather, the nachal and the shlush should even be mafsik in a sadeh elon, between two sides of a orchard. If they have the things in the middle, they should be mafsik. And yet, yet we learned over there that the Tanina usually is a raya, but it's part of the question, right? The Tanina we learned go there. The only thing which interrupts for two sides of an orchard is a fence. Ha gader mechuvar ve'ena mechuvar. So that's very difficult to understand what exactly it means. So the Gemara, the way the Kabanaki's Gersa goes is ha gader the mafsik mechuvar. So okay, the assumption is that a fence which is interrupts is mechubar. It's clear, must have a source. No, afu ain't mechubar. It's also not mechubar. It's also not definitive. That's the way his gear says. Again, a god and mechubar. No, ve'ena mechubar. The way it's right in front of us. Okay, and the way the Kabanaki reads it is afu ain't mechubar. Din tema mechubaru. Afilu ser kotesh mafsik. We'll come back to ser kotesh in the middle is in a moment. But the way it is in front of us, you have to learn hagad and mechuvar. No, ain't a mechuvar. It's not mechuvar because if it were mechuvar, then that which will email ser kotesh ain't no mafsik. If you have a ser kotesh means the foliage of the trees goes over the fence and they are meshed together. So it's they have even say kotesh edo mafsik, unless even if there's a fence in the middle. Elanos and peah achas lekol. You give peah from all the trees together. Have have hadam ratzisha she'ena mechubar. Right, it's an mechubar. Even the fence is not definitive. Itamar mechubru, or there's like it's like an odilma, or maybe we'll say it is mechubar, right? Then if that was the case, afil mitzad echad mafsik. Even if the sarkotesh came over from one side and not from the other side, like this, it should be it should be if the garter was mechubar, it should be it should be mafsik. It should interrupt between the two sides. No, I'm not really reading that right. Yes, here's the way to read it. Um, Ain't that mechuvaru? If you want to say it's mechuvar, there's like an odilma, right, the other side. Then I'll tell you why. I can show you how it may well be that a gather isn't mechuvar. How so? Because I feel mitzad echad mafsik, because it's if the terracotta is only on one side, the fence does work and it overcomes the Sarakotesh. The Tana Ime Sarakotesh Mekanim Kan Eno Mafsik. Only if it's the Sarakotesh on each side, in other words, goes like this, it's not Mafsik. On Mitzad Echad, it's like this, Mafsik, it does interrupt. So we see a Gadar is much more Mechuvar, perhaps. First, he said a Gadar is not Mechuvar, because if Sarakotesh is works and a Gadar seems to be not Mechuvar. Then we say perhaps it's Mechuvar in the sense that we have the difference between the Sarakotish Mitzad Echad and Sarakotish from two sides. So usually, as I mentioned before, Mechuvar and Ena Mechuvar means Doraisa, not Doraisa. So here we're not bringing any psukim. So how could it possibly be Doraisa? So the Rosh Hashanah says Ena Mechuvar means it's not a Loch Moshe Mistinai. If it was Mechuvar, it would be Halacha. Obviously, it's not a pasuk. It would be Halacha Moshe Misinai. The Kavanaki brings it down, but they don't like that because it's um, it's Chosim in Sefer. They say it here, and they wanted to say that Ena Mechuvar means Lav Dafka. Right? It's not clear. It's not clear that these things in the Mishnah are not precise because there are what's the word? Exceptions to all of them. Now the Kabanagi does go all the difficulties with saying that with the language of mechubar, supposed to mechubar. We'll leave that out for now. It's interesting in the art scroll. It doesn't change the girsa. It leaves it mechubar. Doesn't change it to mechuvar, but he still learns the same thing. It's minatorah, not minatorah. Okay, so maybe because I'm not sure. We're not sure. The article sheet, I guess, not to change the spelling, despite the fact that the connotation of the word is not the normal connotation. It's much easier, obviously, to change it to the alternate, to deal with the alternate girsa of the Rash Cirilio and the others of Mechuvar Memches Vav Vav Resh. And now we are. They got down to the two dots, most of the way down to Yud Zayin and Aleph, again, because we had to finish the sugya, but we will stop here, certainly for today.